da, da. Give me just a minute, Pebbles. I'm getting everything going for you. That's all good. A Pokemon just showed up in the Discord. It's that little crocodile. It's Crocotot. Crocotot. It's our Sandile. That's Sandile. Let me get my stuff set up here. Alright. Alright, we got a lot to talk about, Pebbles. We got a lot going on today. So, if you've never been to a Stings, Wings, and Other Things before, this is when I yap about various magical creatures. If you like this art, this is our book, Stings, Wings, and Other Things. This was drawn by my friend Flora, who will be here on Saturday. Flora is a very talented artist and a very cool lady. You should be hanging out with her. Every month I do one of these. Sometimes I have a guest. A lot of times it's just me. This time it's just me. Trevor's here too. I mean, you know, when he wants to be. But, yeah. So we're going to be talking about a very specific creature today. And I realized I hadn't talked about this creature, and I was like, huh. That's kind of a really good one to talk about, because there's a lot going on with it. And there's a lot to be said about it. It's really iconic. I don't know why I haven't talked about that one yet. So, we're going to watch something real quick. We're going to put away Flora's pretty art for a second. I'm going to play this for you so we know what we're doing. Hold on a sec. I know there's no audio right now. It's coming. It was the TriStar logo for like many, many years. Okay. Let me get my... It's going to be one of those days where I'm going to switch my music on and off and on and off and on and off like 45 times. So if at any point I'm just sitting here with no music going, feel free to yell at me and just be like, Saku, your music isn't on. And I'll be like, oh yeah, you're right. It's not on. So the creature we're going to talk about today is Pegasus. Both the individual horse and the creature as a group of Pegasus. So we're gonna cover both. And hi, Atomic. Hello, Atomic. Hi, Atomic. How are you, Atomic?
Thanks for becoming a precious pebble.
Atomic waits to do her sub until I'm live every time. Let me get rid of my window capture and grab my image. It's on auto renew. Yeah, but you wait to announce it until I'm live because you can like. Oh wait, no, I don't want to do a new image source. I just want to grab. What are you doing? What are you doing? What why you do that? Why you do that? Why? I'm not talking to you, Atomic. I'm talking to... Okay, I am grabbing the image I actually wanted because it grabbed totally the wrong image. Alright. Finally have my image. That's not the box that... No. Everything is broken. Everything is broken. Okay, this is Pegasus. Okay. So you're gonna get... I will give... Atomic, you're the only one here, so you get a choice. Do you want to hear a funny story that has nothing to do with this before we delve in? Or do you want me to delve right in? You have 1 for delve right in, 2 for funny story. Sure. Atomic just being like, sure. 1 for you want to hear the funny story that has nothing to do with anything. 2 for delve right in. So 2, you want me to just delve right in? Yeah, I changed it. So 1 for you want to hear the funny story. You want the funny story. Okay. So I was all set up for my stream. Usually I finish my day job and I put out my pings, and then, like, I have about an hour where I can, like, get stuff together, grab a snack, go to the restroom, just, like, have a minute, take a breath. And, like, I don't leave all the lights on in my house, because it's just me and Percy. And Percy has his own room upstairs. And, so he just kind of, like, comes down here and hangs out where I am, or he goes upstairs and hangs out in his room. And he has, like, cat lights that he can turn on and off in there. So if he wants it to be dark, which he turns them off when he goes to bed, he turns them off. And if he wants them to be on, he turns them on. And then I'll hear him, like, playing around up there, like, turning them on sometimes. So, like, I turn the living room light on because I'm in here, because it's where I am. But I don't leave the kitchen light on unless I'm in there, because there's, like, no reason to, because there's nobody in there. Percy's food dish and stuff is in there, but it's bright in there, like, all day, especially now because of the daylight savings time. So I'm just kind of like, oh, I should get a drink. So I go into the kitchen, and it's like, I watched a scary movie trailer earlier today. I might even play that for you so y'all can see how scary it is. And so, like, all day I'm sending my friends messages being like, the ghosts are gonna murder me. And nobody offered to protect me. Nobody. Nobody offered to protect me. Nobody offered sympathy. Nobody offered condolences. They were all just like, oh, that's nice. I'm gonna get murdered by the ghosts. They're gonna get me. So I go into the kitchen, and I turn on the light, and I got jump scared so bad. So what jump scared me was Percival is sitting there in the dark, like a little old man, right by his food dish, and he is just staring at his food dish. And, like, he's not a quiet cat. Like, I know people are not gonna believe me. Percival is not quiet. He only, like, you hear him. So, like, the fact that he snuck around and was in the kitchen just quietly, like, it wasn't, like, eating, so, because, like, you normally hear, like, the little crunch, 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 when they're eating their kibbles, they're eating their little dry food. Your cats, if anyone have cats, you hear, like, crunch, 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 crunch. Or I'll just hear him in there, like, playing with stuff sometimes. But he wasn't making any noise. He was just sitting in there, and it was creepy, and it scared the shit out of me. And I got jump scared. So that's my funny hee-hee. Saku got jump scared by his own cat in his own kitchen at 7 o'clock on a Thursday. So we're talking about Pegasus today. Is currently on a 15 stream watch streak. Man, imagine having like a 60 stream watch streak. What would that be like? What would that be like? Atomic's probably still mad about that. Okay. So, I'm gonna cite why we're doing this. There is a specific reason. My friend Liara, who made my model, who did a very good job because she's the best model maker, we were hanging out in my friend Prism's Discord. I do watch parties in my Discord, and I do watch parties in my friend Prism's Discord as well. Usually like 3 days a week I'm doing watch parties at minimum. I play D&D and stuff too, but a lot of times it's watch parties. We were hanging out and we were watching. Atomic was there too, and there were other people there, but like the whole topic for today came out of this. And Liara's been a guest on this before, so if you want to learn about Kelpies, go check out that Stings, Wings, and Other Things. It's on YouTube now. Liara... So we're watching Jumanji Next Level. And in that... Spoilers if you haven't seen the movie. In that movie, there's a horse that's called Cyclone. And by the end of the movie, you find out it's a Pegasus. And Liara early on sees it and goes, it's not a Pegasus, it's a nightmare. And I'm like, no, it's a Pegasus. And she's like, no, it's a nightmare. So we're all watching the credits of Jumanji Next Level, trying to find how they have credited this horse, which they didn't credit the horse at all. They just nothing for Cyclone. So I go to the Jumanji Wikipedia page. And they do confirm on there, Cyclone is a Pegasus. And I was like, Man, I really need to do a Stings, Wings, and other things about Pegasus, because if it is this hard, this is crazy. What's crazy? What's crazy, Atomic? But yeah, I was like, I really need to do a Stings, Wings, and other things about Pegasus. So, we're gonna start this off very simply. That it was a Pegasus. It was a Pegasus. We'll talk about Cyclone a little later, but I wanted to give you all a little backstory. Do you want to see the trailer for the scary movie before we jump in and then I forget, because I won't remember to show it later, and it was pretty scary. Atomic, it's your choice because you're the only one here. 1, if you want to watch the scary movie trailer. 2, if you just want me to jump in to talk about Pegasus. I'm not telling you the name of the movie. You... Okay, 1 is... I forget. 1 was you want to see the movie, right? You want to see the trailer? I think 1 was you want to see the trailer. Let me find it real quick. The Tommy said, what movie? And I'm like, I'm not telling you. I'm not telling you. You have... Okay, I gotta turn my music off. Alright, music off. Where is my window capture? Alright, window capture on. Boom. Pegasus, we will see you again in a minute. Boop. Okay, so this is the trailer that I was talking about. And it's scary. And it's also a Paramount movie. Last year, over 130 million people went on road trips.
Make it quick.
I would not get out here to pee. I would not.
1 minute.
Yo, no, I'd be gone. I'm not. That's not.
Daniel?
No. No, sir. No, sir. I like his little dog bobblehead. Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm good. No, thank you. And there's a guy there. Okay, no, I'm good. And there's a guy there. And there's a guy there. And he's in the car! I hate it. I hate it.
I saw these on the car last night. 3 scratches just like that.
You didn't stop, did you? It's something unholy.
Something's following us.
This May.
Saint Christopher, protect me to death. All my travel.
Oh, Jesus.
Give us your warning sign.
Oh, no!
Is near. Saint is near. Saint is near.
No one outruns a passenger.
I don't like it. I don't like it. I'm not a fan. I don't care for any of this. Oh, he's got her. Oh, he's got her. Nope. I don't like it. I don't like it. I'm not watching that. You can't make me. I don't want to. So watch that, and now the ghosts are gonna murder me. And nobody offered to, like, help. They're just all like, tee hee, haha. Saku, you're so silly. Hee hee. I'm like, no. This is not a silliness thing. The ghosts are gonna murder me. Okay, so we're gonna talk about Pegasus. Without further ado, I have not been streaming for 17 hours, timer. Why are you lying to these people? Why are you lying to the Pebbles? I've been streaming for 14 minutes, and I've talked about absolutely nothing. Okay, so, Pegasus, we're going to do a definition, and we're going to do a hard declaration statement. Pegasus is 2 things, technically. there is the singular mythical Pegasus, pictured here, from Greek mythology, who we will talk about in more detail. And then there is, like, the creature class of Pegasus, where you have many horses, who are not the individual Pegasus, but they are still a Pegasus. Okay? Great. So, what makes something a Pegasus? Well, that is... Someone messaged me. Let me see if this is important. We're judging everyone's messages, everyone. So let's see. We're judging people's messages on whether or not they're important. We're judging, we're answering. Okay, everyone's good. Okay. So, a Pegasus is a winged horse. Simple definition, right? It's a winged horse. That's it. If you add anything else to that, I am saying it doesn't count as a Pegasus. If it has a unicorn horn and wings, it is not a Pegasus. That is an alicorn. That is different. That is a different thing. That is a whole other magical creature. They are similar, but they are different. A horse that simply runs through the air flying with no wings is not a Pegasus. Not a Pegasus. To be a Pegasus, you have to be a horse with wings. No other, like, physical characteristics. Now, some people are like, oh, well, this Pegasus is black, so it must be something else. Pegasus doesn't have to be white. Typically, the original Pegasus is depicted as a white horse. So that Pegasus is almost always a white horse. Doesn't have to be, almost always is. There are many colors of Pegasus that have existed. Color does not denote that it is or isn't a Pegasus. The other thing is sometimes people will be like, oh, it has bat wings. Or it's like, okay, so we are going to talk about the wings. The wings are usually bird-like. If it has other kinds of wings, it may still be like a play on a Pegasus with like a different take. But more often than not, it's not a Pegasus anymore. I do want to bring up a creature that gets related to Pegasus a lot, and that's so this is a mare spirit, which spawned the idea for a nightmare, which is also born out of the idea of the man-eating horses, which if you'd like to find out more about those, my friend Flora did a whole talk about them. So a mare is a spirit that would basically... It's kind of like a see-all scary spirit. They would mess with horses. They would sit on people's chests. They would scare people. They were just kind of like, again, people dealing with the ancient world didn't have a way to know like what the hell sleep apnea was. They would just wake up and be like, whoa! That's the wrong toggle. I'm gonna die. And they'd be like, there was something on my chest. And it's like, yes, you have sleep apnea. We know that, but like back in the ancient world, they would like be like, it was the mare spirit. Nightmares are a more modern thing that have spawned out of the idea of a Pegasus that is mistreated, and it becomes an infernal creature, and it's, you know, instead of being this big white winged horse, it's a big black scary fire horse. So again, important takeaways here. Being black does not make you a not Pegasus. Having different kinds of wings does not necessarily make you a not Pegasus. In the case of Jumanji Next Level, where the wings look kind of weird, I think that was just the effect budget was not covering what they needed to do. Because, like, the wings didn't look bird-like consistently. Sometimes they were very bird-like. Sometimes they were very... Who messaged me? I swear to... It's Atomic! We're judging Atomic's message. We're judging Atomic. That's fine. Okay. Yeah, Atomic, you posted a message. You're getting judged. I'm gonna call you out live on Twitch. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about Pegasus, because Pegasus is... Okay. If you were to list off like 10 magical creatures that probably everybody knows in the world, I think Pegasus has a place on that list. Pegasus is global. Pegasus is iconic. Pegasus is pretty unique, honestly. And Pegasus has a lot of really cool adaptations. And Pegasus is pretty much like, you've got like dragons and vampires and unicorns, and we love all of those magical creatures. But I think Pegasus definitely deserves a place on that list of like readily recognizable creatures. But just like mermaids and sirens that my friend Prism talked about way back in the day, and if you'd like to check out that VOD, it's on her YouTube channel. Pegasus is misunderstood, so we're gonna talk about Pegasus. We're gonna cover some info here. All right, so this is a definition. Pegasus is a winged horse in Greek mythology, usually depicted as a white stallion. He was sired by Poseidon in his role as a horse god and foaled by the Gorgon Medusa. Pegasus was the brother of Chrysaor, both born from Medusa's blood when their mother was decapitated by Perseus. Greco-Roman poets wrote about his ascent after his birth and his service to Zeus, who instructed him to bring lightning and thunder from Olympus. Who messaged me? Oh my god, it's Atomic again. Okay. Hi, Atomic. Okay, so important things to take away. Pegasus, you messaged me. I just got that. You heard the ping. Boop. Okay. Pegasus is the son of Poseidon, who is the god of horses. People forget Poseidon was like the god of like 86 things. So like, I'm the god of the sea and horses and earthquakes. And everyone's like, what? What? So yes, he had a baby with Medusa, the snake-headed Gorgon. He had two, technically. The other one was a giant. And the baby was not born naturally. The baby was born from blood when Perseus decapitated it. We'll talk about Perseus a little bit more later. Now, Pegasus has some cool powers. This being the singular Pegasus. These are not traits that are necessarily constant in all Pegasus. They are traits present in this Pegasus, the original Pegasus. According to early myths, everywhere the winged horse struck his hoof to the earth, an inspiring spring burst forth. One of these springs was upon the Muses Mount Helicon, the horse spring. Antonius Liberalis suggested that it was opened at the behest of Poseidon to prevent the mountain from swelling with rapture at the Song of the Muses. Another spring associated with Pegasus was Trozen. It is believed Pegasus was peacefully drinking from a spring when Bellerophon captured him. So that's a lot of material. We could do like 3 whole days just talking about stuff with Pegasus, honestly. I'm going to try to do this as best as I can. So we have 2 heroes who are associated with Pegasus, chiefly. One is Perseus, who is, of course, Perseus the Gorgon Slayer. And the other is Bellerophon. Now, okay, do a Saku emote in chat if you know who both of those heroes are. Do a Prism emote in chat if you only know who Perseus is. I'm waiting. We're waiting for somebody. We're waiting for emotes. It's class session today. You're gonna lock in Perseus and Bellerophon. So, if you only know who Perseus is, do a Prism emote. If you know who they both are, do a Saku emote. Atomic, you're gonna have to. Okay. That's not shocking. Everybody knows Perseus. Everybody knows Perseus. Perseus gets all the good billing. I'm going to show you all something here. So we're going to talk about Bellerophon first because he's a little bit more unknown. But he's another Greek hero. So we're going to do things a little wild and zany. Hence why you need a repeat of the other guy's name. That's fair. That's a fair, yeah. It's like, I'm like, what's that guy's name? Imagine, like, you're, like, a big, fancy, you know, Greek hero. And everyone's like, who are you? Like, are you, like, important? Should I know your name? And it's like, what the hell, man? Like, I'm a super cool guy. I did the thing. And it's like, did you? Did you, though? Okay. I'm going to show you all this super disturbing sculpture. This is the most disturbing sculpture. Didn't make it into the hit indie game Hades. Bellerophon's in Hades probably somewhere. I mean, you know, he definitely went to hell. So, hey, go him. This is the most disturbing sculpture I have seen in a while. This sculpture is titled Bellerophon Tames Pegasus. I do not feel tamed by this. That is like horse origami. All right, so we're gonna talk about Bellerophon a little bit. All right, so Bellerophon is a Corinthian hero of Greek mythology. He is also the son of Poseidon. He was the greatest hero and slayer of monsters alongside Cadmus and Perseus before the days of Hercules. You'd be tamed if you had 50 new creases and folds. Atomic, you fold like laundry. Amongst his greatest feats was killing the Chimera, a monster that Homer depicted with a lion's head, a goat's body, and a serpent's tail. Her breath came out in terrible blasts of burning flame. So, Bellerophon is, like, hailed as, like, oh, well, before Hercules came along, like, this guy he was great. He had it all going on. He killed the Chimera. You would think he'd be a big deal, and there are statues and things. So, I mean, you know, he's a big enough deal that people still talk about him. He hasn't been completely forgotten. But, you know, Perseus versus Bellerophon, everyone knows Perseus. So he is the son of a god. Remember, Poseidon is also the father of Pegasus. So they're brothers, right? Like, it's like, imagine, like, you just ride your brother around to fight monsters. Atomic, are you going to let your sister ride on your back so she could fight monsters while you know, carry her hither and thither? Probably not. I would guess not. Sure. Well, there you go. Atomic says sure. Okay. There's a lot of stuff about Bellerophon, but we're going to kind of cover the bare bones. Remember, Greek myths vary a little bit, so some of these versions are not as nice as others. In one version, he murders his brother. In another version, he kills a citizen by accident while practicing knife throwing. We've all been there, right? Who hasn't been practicing throwing knives and accidentally, you know, killing somebody? But basically, because he messed up, they're like, well, you're going to atone. So he goes to the king and he's like, well, you need to atone for this crime. So he goes to Proteus, a king in Tiryns, one of the Achaean strongholds. And they're like, well, you're a king. So yeah, you're cool. You don't need to do anything to be cleansed of your crimes. But when King Proteus's wife, okay, so Bellerophon goes, and the king's like, yeah, you're a king, it's cool. Like, I got you, boo. And then Proteus's wife, Antea, makes advances on Bellerophon. He rejects her. It's like, no, I reject this. And then she accuses Bellerophon of flirting with her instead. And Proteus is like, I can't kill you, because that wouldn't be cool, but I am going to exile you. So he gets exiled. He gets exiled out of his lands, and they give him a sealed letter, and they're like, please remove this bearer from the world. He attempted to violate my wife and my daughter. So they give him a tablet, and send him out into the world to, like, basically, like, hey, whoever has this tablet, kill him. He's a piece of shit. Bellerophon hangs out where he gets exiled. So he goes to Lycia, and he's feasting for 9 days. And he's with this other, he goes to King Iobates. Iobates? If I say any of these names wrong, I'm not Greek. I'm doing my best. And that's where he is for 9 days. And he's like, it's his father-in-law. So he's just like partying and feasting and having a good time. And then the king opens this and he's like, oh, yeah, that's a problem. I can't kill him. He's a guest. So I'm going to send him on a mission where he'll die. That way it's not my fault. It's fate. It's the gods. So he sends him to kill the Chimera. We talked about the Chimera before. So Bellerophon's like, all right, fine, I'll go kill the Chimera. So he goes off, and along the way he encounters a Corinthian fortune teller, Pleiades, who gives him the advice and tells him, like, hey, you're gonna need help. To win this battle, your only shot is to have Pegasus with you. So Bellerophon's like, well, how am I gonna get Pegasus to help me? So he basically goes... So Pleiades is like, I got you, boo. I got you. He, like, puts his finger in his mouth, wiggles it around, kisses him a little bit. Maybe they spoon. We don't know. That part is unclear in the myth. But he says, like, look, go sleep in the temple of Athena, and that will give you guidance. Which, like, all right, Athena, goddess of, like, you know, wisdom, always a supporter of heroes. Maybe she'll be able to give him some tips. So Bellerophon goes to the temple of Athena and goes to sleep. And he dreams that Athena has given him a golden bridle, saying that, essentially, use this and it will allow you to ride Pegasus. Now, again, this is where the story splits. So in some versions, he wakes up, he takes the bridle, he goes to find Pegasus that was drinking from, in some versions of the story, it's a spring. In some versions of the story, it's a well, and he, you know, puts the bridle on and basically tames Pegasus to, you know, let him ride him. In other versions, Athena just brings him Pegasus tamed and bridled so that, or Poseidon, who is, again, Bellerophon's dad, brings Pegasus to him. So some versions, he goes off on a little quest and catches Pegasus and tames him by, like, you know, buck and bronco style, like, yeehaw! And in other versions, the gods are like, just have Pegasus. It's cool. So Pegasus and Bellerophon set off together. Bellerophon arrives in Lycia with Pegasus, and they fight the Chimera. He can't even hurt the Chimera, though, even while riding Pegasus. So the way they do this is they get a big block of lead, and he puts it on his spear, and then he flies right at the Chimera, and basically lodges the block of lead in the Chimera's throat. The lead melts, which suffocates the Chimera, and it dies. And Bellerophon's like, everyone's like, holy shit, they did it. I mean, and no one expected Bellerophon to come back from this. They were like, this is supposed to be an undoable task. So Bellerophon goes back to King Iobates, and the king's like, no way, absolutely not. So he gives him more quests to do. He goes to fight the Amazons. He beats them by dropping boulders from Pegasus. And then when he has to go fight some pirates, and the king's men try to ambush him, but they fail, and Bellerophon kills them all. Then they send the palace guards to get him, and Bellerophon basically floods a whole plain to kill those guys by being like, Poseidon, help. And Poseidon's like, who's messing with my kids? And then that whole situation ends because the palace women rush the gates with their robes lifted high, exposing themselves. And Bellerothon's like, I'm not fighting naked people. So he leaves. Finally, the king's like, all right, here's a letter. You can marry my daughter. You can have half of the kingdom. Just stop. And he gets married. They have a kid. And, it's relative. Like, again, he's at this point, he's a hero. He's done he's got some hero feats to his name. Eventually they do return, following the Chimera's death. He pretends to reciprocate, and he promises to take, basically, he's basically, like, playing the long game. So he's like, okay, cool. I'm fine with this. This sounds like a good idea. So remember, I'm going back here to grab this name. Bear with me a minute. So I am grabbing this name because I'm gonna. Okay, so remember Antea, the woman who flirted with, who said he flirted, and he's like, I need revenge. I need revenge. So he marries her sister, and then he pretends that he loves Anatea. And he's like, yeah, no, I really do love you. And he promises to take her away. And she gets on Pegasus, and then while they're flying, he throws her off the horse and drowns her. And then he tells the king, claiming that he had exacted appropriate justice from them in the form of death for her and grief for him. Yeah. Bellerothon kind of goes a little wild at this point after, you know, multiple, like, murders on his resume. He decides that because he's done all this great stuff, he deserves to go to Mount Olympus. So he just has Pegasus fly towards Olympus. Zeus, being Zeus, goes, no. Sends a gadfly to sting Pegasus. Bellerothon falls to Earth and dies. Pegasus flies the rest of the way to Olympus. Again, this is where Greek myths vary a little bit. So you can do with this what you will. In some versions, like, well, they both died. In other versions, Pegasus makes the full journey, and Zeus has him as a pack horse to basically carry his thunderbolts. In some versions, Bellerothon survives the fall, lands in a thorn bush, and lives out his life just miserable. So that's the story of Bellerothon, a guy who you've probably never heard of, who killed a guy, possibly his brother, possibly just some random guy by accident or on purpose, proceeded to not flirt with some guy's wife, get in trouble, get told, like, okay, well, now you have to go do some other... And then it goes on, it's like, well, you messed up, go do a bunch of heroic quests. And that's the story of Bellerothon. And then he's finally like, I am the shit. I am the greatest. I'm gonna fly to Olympus. Atomic, how many stars are you giving Bellerothon? We're waking Atomic up. Atomic is the only one here, so Atomic's like... Atomic, are you taking notes? Pretty cool. He's pretty cool. Murdering ladies is cool, Atomic? Wow. Wow. Atomic is pro chucking ladies into the ocean. Wow, Atomic. Greek mythology, the bar is very low. Alright, well, that's fair. That is fair. That is an accurate statement there. Alright, let's jump back to, we're going back to just regular old Pegasus. We're going back to just regular old Peggy Sue here. Regular old Peggy Sue. Okay. So we talked about the spring thing. The spring thing is pretty cool. It definitely plays into, you know, Pegasus is the son of Poseidon. That's a pretty cool little power. Don't really see other Pegasi having that ability. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like unique to them. Let me go in here. All right, so we talked about Bellerothon. I promised we'd talk about Perseus. We are not going to do a whole Perseus thing, but Perseus is a child of Zeus. Basically, Perseus's mom, Danae, however you want to pronounce it, her dad was King Acrisius of Argos, and he only had one child. And like all dickbags, he's like, my only child is a girl! And he's like, okay, alright, okay. So he goes to the Oracle of Delphi for advice, because that's what you do. You go to a soothsayer or an oracle. And she's like, if you have a grandson, he's gonna murder you. And he's like, well, that's not good. So to keep his daughter from ever having a child, he locks her in a room in a bronze tower. And he's like, okay, great. And the myth goes that Zeus came to her in the form of a golden shower and fathered her child. Do with that imagery what you will. And then their child is born, and their child is Perseus. So Perseus is basically like, all right, so at this point, the king is looking at this, and he's like, well, that's not good. So I can't kill them, but I can make it really easy for them to die. So he puts his daughter and his grandson in a wooden chest and hurls them into the ocean. They do not die. They wash ashore in Seriphos, where they're taken in by a fisherman who raises Perseus, and you know, they have a pretty chill life. Perseus grows up. He becomes, you know, a young guy. He's a young guy who's looking to make his name. Now on the island that he has grown up on, there's the king called Polydectes. Polydectes sees Danae and is like, oh, she's beautiful. I want her. And Perseus is like, he's not a good guy. I'm going to protect my mom. And then eventually he's like, I got to get this kid out of the way. So he has a big banquet, and he tells everyone they have, and everyone's expected to bring a gift. Perseus is the son of a god, but he's been raised by a fisherman. Basically, he has very little to his name. And he's like, well, what kind of gift are you going to bring me? Others have like brought him like horses and things like that. And Perseus is like, I'll bring you the head of Medusa. Now in some versions he also says like, I'll bring you any gift, even something as difficult to obtain. And they're like, okay, so Perseus has to now get Medusa's head. There's a lot that happens with that. We do not have time to sit here. Perseus gets a lot of help along the way, and eventually does kill Medusa. And then when he kills Medusa, Pegasus is born. Pegasus erupts from the neck of, you know, from the blood of the slain Medusa. Sometimes they have adventures together, like, you know, like Pegasus goes off with Perseus for a few years, and then, like, you know, they part ways probably after Perseus dies or gets old and isn't adventuring anymore. Greek stories can get a little wild. So I do want to go back to you hope I birth a mythical creature if you ever get jumped. Well, there's one way to find out, Atomic. Bam! There's one way to find out, Atomic. Alright, so we talked about Bellerothon. We talked about Perseus. I don't want to... Okay, so... basically, after Bellerothon, Pegasus is left to sort of just be stabled along with the other horses and steeds and animals that live on Olympus. He belongs to Zeus, and he's just tasked with carrying thunderbolts. along with the other members of his entourage. So Zeus has a bunch of other entourage people who do that job for him. It's kind of like, and after years of work, Pegasus is finally honored with being transformed into a constellation. And on the day that he is transformed into a constellation, a single feather fell to Earth near the city of Tarsus. And that is basically the story of Pegasus. Here's the constellation Pegasus, if you're curious. Oh, my picture is too big. We gotta shrink that down. Shrinking it down. Shrinking it down. So, like, you know, Pegasus is cited as being a good and true ally to two heroes who are pretty well known. Bellerophon, definitely the lesser of the two. And then Zeus is like, alright, well, you're gonna carry my thunderbolts for a while. And then they're like, dude, like, can you just, like, let him go? And it's like, alright, I guess you can go be a constellation now. And then they make him a constellation. I think my music froze. My music froze! No! No, it didn't. It was just switching over. So this is the constellation Pegasus. It's not very horse-like, is it? It's just kind of like... I'll be honest, like, most of the constellations don't look like anything to me. It's just like, that just looked like a cube with a tail. That's not a horse. That's just a cube. It looks like a dream catcher. Yeah, it's not very Pegasus-y. It's not very Pegasus-y. But Pegasus does have just an enormous amount of influence. Like, it's this eye-catching, iconic figure in stories. That statue I showed you earlier was made in 1977 by Jacques Lipschitz. It is outside of Columbia University, New York. So think about that for a minute. That's so like, we have sculptures of Pegasus from the 6th century BC. We have, you know, clay pots and figures representing Pegasus from like 480 BC. There are figures and things like, it's like, oh my god, like this Pegasus has like held the imagination of people for thousands of years, which is cool. It's cool that he stuck around. And like, it's also not just something like, a lot of times like Greek myths or just creatures are kind of contained to a specific area. I'm grabbing my list here. Hold on a sec. Hold on, Pebbles. Hold on. Okay. So these are some of the examples of... okay. So... the winged horse has provided an instantly recognizable corporate logo or emblem of inspiration. Ecuador launched its weather satellite named Pegaso on April the 26th of 2013. Pegasus Airlines is a low-cost airline headquartered in Kritoki, Istanbul, Turkey. Mobil has had Pegasus as its company logo since its affiliation with Magnolia Petroleum in the 1930s. And TriStar Pictures famously uses a winged horse in their logo. Hi, Atomic. Atomic, I'm literally talking to you. You're the only one here, Atomic. You're the only one here. It's the Atomic Show. What do you want, Atomic? What can I do for you? Atomic just likes when I say hello to them. So, like, it's kind of like, Pegasus has, like, a huge, like, you know, anytime someone needs a logo or someone's like, oh, man, let's have, like, Pegasus. TriStar Pictures, Mobil, airlines, space companies, military projects. I will say, I'm not going to include, like, everything that has Pegasus's name on it. So, we're talking about the creature Pegasus today. We're talking about the creature Pegasus today. So, I do want to grab some examples of other Pegasus. Let's grab. So we're just gonna kind of go through some of these, and y'all are going to go on a little journey with me. Y'all are gonna go on a little journey with me. Oh God, it's too big. Too big. Shrinking her down. Shrinking her down. Oh, holy God. It's just this world's biggest image. It's just the world's biggest image. See, this is why I should check my images before stream. Alright. I almost got it to where you can see it on the screen. Almost there. Almost there. Okay. There. We got it. That yawning one is Atomic, because she's always asleep. So this is a frame from Fantasia. Which you probably recognize. You may not, depending on how old you are. But I want to show like some videos of different Pegasus. So we're gonna grab this real quick. All right. So I'm gonna turn my music off for a little bit. I know you're all very excited. You have Fantasia, Mickey Mouse right here. Well, I know you love Mickey Mouse, so that's good. So let's grab my window capture. Window capture Fantasia. And I've got to make this go away. All right, and make this big. See, Pegasus is black. He's our little baby Pegasus. And Mother Pegasus. There's a blue one, like Atomic, and it's eating even, so there you go, it is Atomic. That one's eating too. They're all little pigs, all they do is eat. That one's grumpy because it can't fly. Okay, I don't want to play too much of any of these because I don't feel like getting hit with like, you're showing a movie. Like, no, I'm not. So yeah, Fantasia is another really good example of a classic take on Pegasus. The big difference here being we see Pegasus as a family unit. You know, they're out in the world, they're having babies, there's a lot of them. We don't see the spring thing. The spring thing really feels like it is just Pegasus that has that. Which makes sense. Pegasus is the son of Poseidon. So of course Pegasus has special powers. Right? Like, I mean, like, what's the point of being a demigod? Of being like the god? What's the point of being like a demigod if you don't get special powers, right? Aside from just being a horse. So Fantasia comes out. It's like Fantasia's a pretty famous movie. It's not like the most famous film of all time, but let me see here. Fantasia. What year did Fantasia come out? I'm grabbing my Fantasia page. Okay. So Fantasia came out in 1940, and I am grabbing the list of awards that it won. So Fantasia had a $2.28 million budget. It made $83.3 million. And there are a bunch of different shorts in it. There's Toccata and Fugue. There's The Nutcracker Suite. There's The Sorcerer's Apprentice, which is the one with Mickey. The Rite of Spring. The Intermission, the Pastoral Symphony, and yeah, there's just a bunch of them. There's a bunch. It's a very well-known movie. It's one that has, you know, like, again, for a whole bunch of people, if you think of Pegasus, you might think of that take. I'm gonna show you some other ones though. We're gonna keep rocking and rolling here. So we're just gonna watch some videos for a bit, and then we're gonna talk a little bit more. So I got a bunch of videos to show you, and I don't want to turn my music off and on 6 more times. So we're going to watch this. This is my favorite. Get the hell out of here with your apartment rentals near you. Suck it.
Give
see here. We'll take, yes, a little Cirrus, and, a touch of Nimbostratus, and
Yay.
a dash of Cumulus.
Yay. Baby.
His name is Pegasus, and he's all yours.
Aww. Aww. They're so cute. Aww. That scene always makes me think of Prism, because it's like my cool friend, my cool magic horse friend. That's from Disney's Hercules, which is another well-known film featuring Hercules. I am grabbing another clip for you all to enjoy. Give me just a moment. Okay, so this is the original Clash of the Titans. We're not going to watch the whole thing. We're just watching a clip. So this, like, blew people's minds back in the day. Like, holy shit! Look at that horse! And this is Perseus catching Pegasus.
Oh, slow, easy.
See, Atomic, catching Pegasus isn't easy. I love how they shot this.
Steady, steady.
Yeah! Now we're riding Pegasus! Go, Pegasus, go! Okay, so that's the original Clash of the Titans. Again, that, like, blew people's minds. Everyone's like, holy shit. They did have Pegasus in the Clash of the Titans remake as well. I'm grabbing that for you real quick. Hold on. We're going to look at this together. So this is the remake of Clash of the Titans. I'm opening my drink. So see? Lots of Pegasus. And then this dude rolls in. Stay away from my friends! I'll kick your ass! Don't touch my friends! It's the original horse girl.
Pegasus. No man has ever ridden one.
Then you may call me
It's a
Nomad.
message. They're watching us.
See? Oh, okay. They're friends now. They have camaraderie.
Oh, already teaching them to customize and save with Liberty
Get
Mutual.
out of here with
No.
customize and save. Customize and save my foot in your ass. I'm grabbing another one here. I'm just gonna run through all the video clips I grabbed for today. Who messaged me? Who dares? It wasn't Atomic this time. Atomic is safe. It wasn't Atomic this time.
I got this! Oh, I got this! Okay, I don't got this! Help! Somebody help!
Hey, Queens. Heads up.
Wait, no, that's not. Wait. Why is it not?
Hang on, I got you, kid.
Wait, why is it not doing what I wanted it to do? I want it to be full screen. Why are you being all wonky?
Okay, I don't got this.
Okay, good.
Somebody help!
Hey, Queens. Heads up.
Yay, Cap! Yay, Spider-Man!
Hang on, I got you, kid.
And there's the Pegasus!
Oh my god!
Pew, pew, pew. we went a long way for very little bit of Pegasus, but Pegasus is in the MCU. We'll talk about Pegasus in the MCU in a little bit. We got just a couple more things. We got 2 more clips, and then we're gonna be talking about a lot of stuff. So bear with me here. All right, this is.
And what do you got to say to the Shining Knight? Sir Justin's a real live knight from back in the olden times of King Arthur and them.
Of King Arthur and them.
Friend, I am no mayor at auction. How about Sir Justin's horse, Winged Victory, and his magical sword, a gift from Merlin, the magician himself?
Yay, the Shining Knight and Winged Victory. Okay. No, absolutely not. I hate when people make AMVs and it's like, dude, just take the scene. I don't need you to like cut in music. Anyway, that's me complaining. Sorry. I got one more clip. And it's the it's the atomic coded clip. Guess which of these 2 atomic is?
Now, what have we learned? Lots of control. Good. Screaming and hollering. Yes. And most importantly, passion. Right. So now that you know the elements of a good cheer, let's hear one. Yay. Ugh, you're gonna cheer for me like that? Louder. Yay.
Yay.
Louder. Yay.
Yay.
Louder.
Yay.
Yay. Ugh. Too loud.
Guess which one atomic is? Okay. I know you watched a bunch of video clips. Thank you for bearing with me. I hope you got at least a giggle out of some of those. I tried to pull some fun interpretations of the Pegasus. Atomic, you know damn well which one you are. Why is my music volume so low now? Oh. You're Rainbow Dash, Atomic. Of the 2, you're Rainbow Dash for sure. Alright. So let me grab the image I want to talk about here. You're not Fluttershy. Like, you are not Fluttershy coded at all. Okay, so I want to go through the influence that Pegasus has had and highlight some things and show some stuff off. So let me grab some of these here. Alright, so I do also want to highlight some things. So we're going to go through this bit by bit. So let's just talk about this real quick. We saw a clip from this earlier. We have the classic Disney Hercules. Hercules is again like one of the Greek heroes who had nothing to do with Pegasus. The people who were around, you know, were like, yeah, we were here before you. But in the Disney movie, they're like, oh, we're gonna have him hang out with Pegasus. And I really liked this interpretation of Pegasus. I thought it was fun. They have like a comedic thing. If you go watch the Hercules animated series, Hercules and Pegasus have a fight. And he actually goes off, and Bellerothon is in an episode of the Hercules animated series. And and goes off and does stuff. In the movie, of course, Hercules is, you know, he's his childhood friend. They're reunited, and they go off on the quest from zero to hero together. It's a comedic take on Pegasus, but it's a pretty, like, I think it's a pretty good take on him. He's honorable. None of the Poseidon stuff comes into play here. None of the demigod stuff. There's none of the, like, most of, like, the... Outside of the fact that he is a winged horse, there is nothing here from the Pegasus myth. That's really the only thing from the Pegasus myth that made its way over. He doesn't have the spring powers. He's not got anything to do with Medusa. He has nothing to do with Poseidon. Zeus just made his kid a birthday present. And I'm like, oh, alright. But it's still a pretty fun interpretation. And hopefully, if you're like me, maybe it inspired you to be interested in Greek mythology. And to sit here and listen to a VTuber talk about Greek myths for 2 hours. So, this is, I think, a good starting point. And it's lighthearted, it's fun, it's enjoyable. Sometimes the Greek myths get a little heavy, what with the people getting murdered. I am gonna grab another version here. Give me just a sec. Okay, so we talked about Pegasus, as he was presented in Disney. But Pegasus has been presented in a lot of other places. We did show that earlier. Alright, this is gonna make Atomic scream. Atomic's gonna, like, flip her little lid. So this is... I do not know all of the characters from this series, so I am grabbing my notes. So this is a character known as Gonfall. Okay. I'm grabbing my notes. Hold on. So Gonfall is, again, from the anime One Piece. So Gonfall is the knight. And he is an exiled knight. He kind of has some similarities to Bellerothon, honestly. I am grabbing my stuff here. Give me one sec. I am looking for... Okay, here we go. So, his pet bird, Pierre, has eaten a devil fruit. So, the horse is Pierre. The knight is Gonfall. It's the Uma Uma no Mi fruit, which enables Pierre to turn into a Pegasus or a full horse. Gonfall uses Pierre and his devil fruit powers to get around Skypia. While still quite a formidable opponent in combat, he has aged, and it's noted several times to not be in his prime. However, despite his stated degradation, he still retains enough combat prowess to hold his own against pressure, and even outmaneuver Shura, confirmed observation hockey user, even while he himself cannot use mantra. Who messaged me? I swear to God, if it's Atomic, she's in trouble. If it was Atomic, she's in big trouble. There actually is a Pegasus fruit later in the One Piece. Atomic. But this is Pierre, and I like this because it kind of has elements of like Bellerothon in it a little bit. Like, you know, kind of a look. Pierre's carrion here. Pierre's like, I'm a bird. I ate a devil fruit, and now I can turn into a horse or a winged horse. Like, oh well, that's really cool. And you're pink. We love pink in this house. We like birds too. Trevor. Do not try to ride Trevor. I got another One Piece thing here. Let me grab this character. This is Stronger. And again, I am not a One Piece expert, so I have to get my notes. Hold on a sec. Hold on a sec. Okay. So Stronger is a horse that a character named Doc Q rides on. Because Doc Q is seemingly always sick, he rides Stronger all the time, since the Doctor tends to collapse if left unsupported for any time. However, Stronger is just as sick as he is. He's classified as a Type A creature, big friendly. And I am grabbing his... Despite being a very sick horse, Stronger has the strength and stamina to carry around Doc Q for an extended period of time, and only succumb to exhaustion on an occasional basis. Stronger ate the Uma Umi no Mi model Pegasus, a mythical zone-type devil fruit that allows him to transform into a Pegasus hybrid and a full Pegasus at will. Since he's already a horse, this power basically just allows him to grow wings and fly. With his power, he was able to carry both Doc Q and Blackbeard while airborne, albeit the latter being of crushing weight for him. So Stronger is a horse. And so we have two animals that ate devil fruits in one piece. Poor Stronger's just like, and, like, imagine Blackbeard just sitting on him, crushing him. Get your fat ass off of me! But yeah. Again, one of the things we love about this story is that is an iconic Pegasus. Winged horse, no horn, nothing really, like, you know, ate a devil fruit, helps out his buddy. Awesome, 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 awesome. We love this. We love this. I am going to grab another image here for you all. Bear with me for a moment. Okay. Y'all are gonna be mad. Y'all are gonna be mad. Just chill. Just chill for a second. We're not gonna talk about this one for very long. But I will be honest with you. If we didn't talk about Umamasame, we would leave out Biko Pegasus! The Power Ranger obsessed, Sentai obsessed. The only character that really has like any kind of like Pegasus nod, which is just the name, because they don't have wings. But yeah, Umamasame also has a character that, you know, has some Pegasus stuff, and there's a bunch of racehorses that are named Pegasus. I'm grabbing this. This is art inspired by an episode of Batman the Animated Series. This episode featured the Riddler, and basically the Riddler sends a big virtual reality device to GCPD, and they trap Commissioner Gordon in it, and he's gonna die, and Batman has to go in to save him, and inside the Riddler's like, I'm gonna win because I'm smarter than you. I'm gonna outwit you, and I'm gonna have my final victory. And in the course of it, he plays chess. They play a bunch of like mind games back and forth with each other for a while, and eventually Batman gets a Pegasus in virtual reality. He's like, you know, he's the Dark Knight. He's the Dark Knight, so he gets a Pegasus, which again, classic Pegasus look. Look how clean the Pegasus is, and it's a black Pegasus, which we like. Alright, let's grab another example here. This is one we saw earlier. This is Winged Victory. Okay, so let's talk about the difference here. So DC Comics, there are some winged horses. They're usually associated with Shining Knight, who has the most iconic one. But a few other people pop up here and there. Winged Victory is probably the most recognizable one. Again, it's just a straight up Pegasus. Just a normal, ordinary Pegasus. There is nothing, like, other than, like, you know, that it hangs out with Shining Knight, Sir Justin. It doesn't really have, like, any incredible, like, you know, it can't shoot laser beams. It's not the horse from Krypton. Which we, you know, Comet, Power Girl's horse, which was like, I'm a horse from Krypton. That's terrifying. But there is, I'm gonna put this up for a second because this is not a classic take. I do not classify this as a Pegasus, but it is obviously inspired by Pegasus. This is Absolute Wonder Woman, who roams around the skies on a giant skeletal Pegasus. This is not a Pegasus. This is another thing, but it is cool. And again, it is clearly inspired by Pegasus. So yeah, you see Pegasus pop up from time to time in DC Comics and DC projects. Usually it's associated with like some of the myth characters like Wonder Woman or you know, Shiny Knight, or, you know, someone might be like, oh, there's like a magic episode, John Constantine and Zatanna ride Pegasus. It continues to inspire books everywhere we go. Now, we do have to talk about something else here, and this one's gonna be a little trickier. So let me grab my image here. Let me grab my image. I am looking. I got it. I found it. Do we have any Valkyrie fans in the house today? Are there any Valkyrie fans in Tower today? I'm waiting. Yay, okay. So this is where I'm gonna be. I love Valkyrie. I love Valkyrie in the MCU. I think she's awesome. I've loved her in all of her appearances. In the Marvel comics, there are Pegasus constantly. And almost always they are reserved for Asgardian storylines. Like Thor, Valkyrie, all of the Valkyrie characters, Danny Moonstar, if you're an X-Men character. X-Men character fans, let's go! Danny Moonstar is a Valkyrie sometimes, so she'll be seen riding on them. The Warriors 3. They're pretty much like reserved for Asgard. They're like, okay, Asgard gets Pegasus. Why? Who knows? They just do. They just do. I do want to add, Valkyries are a very real thing. I could do a whole thing just about them. They do not ride winged horses. They do not ride Pegasus in mythology. That is something that comics and movies and stuff have done. That is entirely the invention of pop culture. They just ride straight up horses. They don't ride winged horses. So it's important to remember, while we do enjoy these things, sometimes they are not faithful adaptations of the source material. So, while we do love this Pegasus, and on your left, it is not a faithful adaptation of a Valkyrie, but it is a cool adaptation of a Pegasus. Here, let me grab this for you. Stepping on butts. I have so many pictures of Pegasus on my computer right now. You have no friggin' idea. I have just like picture after picture after picture of Pegasus. Here. Let's talk about Digimon. So TK has a Pokemon we all know and love, Patamon. Patamon has a lot of very iconic Digivolutions. Angemon, you know, and like multiple iterations of that. But they can also Digivolve into Pegasusmon. And it has Rodeo Gallop as its ultimate move. Rodeo Gallop! That's some rootin', tootin', shootin', secution stuff. Again, we love that this is spread to other cultures and that they are looking at it and going, we like this. We want to have this in our stuff too. We enjoy this. So, Rodeo Gallop. Because like, what says angelic savior more than a horse stepping on your face? Digimon, classic anime, really fun one, bringing Pegasus to a whole new generation. And that's a pretty like, I'll grab just an image so you can see it better. Hold on a sec. So we can just have like a cleaner look at Pegasus here. All right, so that's a pretty solid, like, you know, the bat ears are very Patamon-y, but that's a pretty solid, like, yeah, wings. It's got a little armor, but I mean, you know, it's a Digimon. It's like going to fight Myotismon and shit. Pretty solid. Pretty, you know, like, yeah, that's definitely a Pegasus. Let me grab a couple of other things that I have here for you all to enjoy. Okay, so this one is from the Chronicles of Narnia. And it's from a Chronicles of Narnia book you may not know. You may not know this one. So this horse has two names. One of the names is Fledge, and one of the names is Strawberry. So Fledge is brought into Narnia from our world at the time that it was created. And they basically come into Narnia with a bunch of other characters. I don't want to spoil the book for anyone who hasn't read it. But originally, Fledge is a horse that worked pulling a hansom cab in London. And Fledge is pulled in, and their original name was Strawberry. They were renamed by Aslan and given wings so they could carry Diggory and Polly on an adventure. And they went off and did that. And Fledge becomes the father of all flying horses in Narnia. You do see more Pegasus show up in The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and in other stories. They're not. They're still like seemingly like rare, but they do show up. And I always like this art. I think this was like art from The Magician's Nephew. It's a really cool book. If you like the Chronicles of Narnia and you've never read The Magician's Nephew, I think it doesn't get... Like, The Silver Chair and The Magician's Nephew are two that I really like. The only Chronicle of Narnia book that I didn't, like, absolutely inhale was The Horse and His Boy. And I still liked it. It just wasn't, like... If you were like, you can read any Chronicles of Narnia book, I'd be like, yeah! I want to read the one about frog people! That's The Silver Chair for anyone who's curious. Alright, so we're gonna continue on here. Again, I'm just going. So this is a D&D. This is a D&D art piece showing a warrior and their Pegasus. So this is art that's associated with the spell Find Celestial Steed. So if you're like, you know, I want to summon a steed, but I want to summon a really cool celestial steed, you could summon a Pegasus. And this dude's just like, I need help. I'm taking a drink. Everyone better be hydrating. You better hydrate, or you'll dehydrate. I'm taking a drink. Okay. So, D&D has Pegasus. They're not like they show up a fair amount. They're good aligned creatures who reside in other realms usually. In other planes of existence. They're almost always like good. Hey, we talked about this a little earlier, how Pegasus that are mistreated or who have evil seep into their heart can become nightmares, and then they go to the infernal planes and hang out with Karlach, and they high five, and she, like, you know, punches somebody while riding a nightmare, and it's really cool, and we all like that. But yeah, this is like Dungeons and Dragons, and Pathfinder, and almost every fantasy RPG. You'll find Pegasus, and they all kind of borrow from the same classic story of winged horse. Winged horse. I do want to grab this one. Magic the Gathering has exactly 700 million Pegasus. They are everywhere. They are constant. They are pretty much always very similar. Very, 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 very similar. Like, you know, okay. Winged horse. It's a cool, powerful, interesting creature. It's fun. We like it. If you want to see me open more Magic the Gathering cards with Atomic, that may be happening someday. We did that before. That was pretty fun. Let me grab a different card game. This is from Yu-Gi-Oh! This is an older Yu-Gi-Oh! Card. The Firewing Pegasus. Again, little different than a typical Pegasus. It's got fire wings, but you can still be like, okay, yeah, no, I can see this. I count this as a Pegasus. I count this as a Pegasus. I respect what they're doing. It's a pretty typical, normal, you know, it's got wings. It's a horse. Okay, I'm with you. I'm with you. I see what you're doing here. I want to grab... I'm just going to grab this GIF because it's going to be easier to put that up. Give me a minute. I'm grabbing what I was looking for. And now it doesn't want to come up. So it can go suck it. I'll just grab the image then. Thanks. Okay. My Little Pony. If you have not watched any of the My Little Pony stuff, so in My Little Pony you have Earth ponies, who are traditional horses. You have Pegasus, who are horses with wings, and you have unicorns. And then you have combinations thereof that are technically alicorns, but that's like, you know, that's for the royals. The royals get to be alicorns. Everyone else just gets to be generally one thing. This is Rainbow Dash. Rainbow Dash is one of the main characters. She's, you know, a very outspoken, brave, somewhat overconfident sometimes, perhaps a little too boisterous pony. But she's always there for her friends. We support her. And then on the other side of the spectrum, you have Fluttershy, who is also a Pegasus. She's very shy. She's very introverted. She loves animals. Also always there for her friends. Whereas Rainbow Dash is like always seen flying and like flying fast and setting records, Fluttershy is more like chill and relaxed and hangs out at home with her animals. As you saw in the clip earlier, you know, she's not someone who's given to big, loud displays. But that doesn't mean she's not still special, and we like her. I am gonna grab... This is for Momo. This is for my friend Momo. There are, I think, like 7,000 World of Warcraft Pegasus mounts. So, yeah, if you like World of Warcraft, guess what? There's probably a Pegasus. There's probably a Pegasus for you. And I want to grab... Where is my image? Summon Trevor? Okay. There's Trevor. Let me grab my image here. Oh, okay, I found it. I found it. This is Cyclone. Cyclone is from Welcome to Jumanji, a new level. This is the Pegasus that set everything for today off. Again, feather wings, black, still a pretty typical Pegasus. The only thing with this Pegasus is they trick you. Because they have it, like, its wings aren't visible for most of the movie. Not like, you know, it has a saddle on or something. No, you just don't see them. They just, like, come out when they want to fly. I'm like, oh, that's cheap. That's cheap. I want to see the Pegasus, because if I got into Jumanji and you told me my superpower is just be horse, I'd be like, well, this is bullshit. Why do you get powers? And I'm just, like, be horse. That's bogus. That stinks. That's a ripoff. I'm gonna grab one more. There's one more thing I want to talk about today, Pegasus related, and we're just gonna put this image of Pegasus back up for a bit. All right, so there's a statue called Pegasus, tamed by the Muses Erato and Calliope. They are a pair of mirrored bronze sculptures designed by Vincent Peels. Each sculpture depicts Pegasus accompanied by a muse from Greek mythology. Erato, who represents love poetry and carries a lyre, is on the left, and Calliope, who represents epic poetry and carries a scroll, is on the right. The sculptures, which are also known as the Flying Horses or the Pegasus Group, are located at the Memorial Hall, a National Historic Landmark in Philadelphia. They designed the Pegasus sculptures for the Vienna State Opera in 1863. However, the Austrian government ordered the sculptures to be removed from the site of the Opera House and melted down after they were deemed disproportionately sized for the building. Instead of being destroyed as directed, the sculptures were purchased by Philadelphia businessman and philanthropist Robert H. Gratz as a gift for Philadelphia's new established Fairmount Park. The sculptures were deconstructed into pieces and shipped to the United States, where they were reassembled and installed in front of the Memorial Hall for the Centennial Exposition in 1876. In 2017, the sculptures were again disassembled for conservation after a crack was discovered in one of their legs during a 2013 assessment by the Philadelphia Office of Arts, Culture, and Creative Economy. The conservation and restoration work was performed by a materials conservation company and received a 2018 Grand Jury Award for Preservation Alliance for Greater Philadelphia. So if you'd like to see that, you can go to Philadelphia. They are in the Memorial Hall. But that while I was researching that, I was like, that's a really cool story. Like, some dude made these amazing sculptures of Pegasus with two of the muses, and the people were like, these are too big, melt them down. And like, this guy's like, no, save Pegasus. I want this guy to be like the most umamasame dude of all time. Just come right, save the Pegasus. No, don't melt them down. And he just straight up buys them. He's like, we'll just move them to America. And they disassemble them and bring them to America. And they've been on display. So these sculptures were made in 1863, right? So they are more than 100 years old. They're not too far off from being 200 years old, you know? Like, we've got, like, I don't know, 40-something, 30-something years to get there. But, like, they're not young sculptures, but they still... The thing I love about Pegasus is it's pretty much always seen as a beacon of hope. A beacon of bravery and friendship and courage. And I love that about Pegasus. It's the belief that good will win, and that there's always hope, and we can always rely on our friends to save the day. I could stand here for 7 hours and name off Pegasus references. There are Pegasus references in so many fantasy series, in so many books, in so many shows, in so many movies. There's a Pegasus reference in Once Upon a Time. And if some of you are like, there is, I love Once Upon a Time, when's there a Pegasus? The Once Upon a Time reference, so Captain Hook's boat that flies has a Pegasus wing-feathered sail that lets it fly. That's how it flies. Because in that universe, Pegasus feathers let things fly. So yeah, there's like no end of these. If you want to find out more about Pegasus, go read the myths, go watch the shows, go do your own research, find out more about it. All that I ask is that we do remember what Pegasus is, because as time goes on, stories become muddled. Creatures become coalesced with other creatures. And I do think it is important that while we do allow interpretation of Pegasus, like Pegasus doesn't always have to be a white horse. If you want to have Pegasus be a paint or any horse at all, that's fine. You know, but we have to keep creatures evolving, but we also need to keep their identity whole to some degree, or everything gets muddled together. Atomic, thanks for sticking with me through this. Atomic is, as usual, an audience of one, so we will not do a raid today, because I don't want to raid out with one person, and Atomic's going to go to bed soon. I do appreciate y'all coming to hang out with me. I will be back on Saturday with my friend Flara, and we will be playing Pokemon, so if you want to come and hang out on Saturday, we'll be here. I'll be in Discord tomorrow. We're going to have a watch party. Sunday, we're going to have another watch party. So there's some more stuff coming this week. I don't know what next week looks like yet, so bear with me on that. But yeah, oh, I almost forgot. I need to be better about this. Pegasus 100% belongs in stings, wings, and other things, and will be added to the book. Until next time, remember to play more games, be safe, hydrate, give Trevor $5, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.